Welcome, everyone. Good morning. I am Mike Kirby, the Senior Director of Partner Strategy and Growth with Impartner, and I am responsible, along with my team, for helping customers with strategic planning and growth workshops. So that's what we're going to do today, is talk about some of that. I'd like to welcome in Penny Conway from GP. Welcome, Penny. Thank you for joining us today. Penny is the Senior Manager of Global Partner Marketing at GP. She's one of the leads at the marketing organization, where she's responsible for developing a lot of their partner program. Welcome, Penny. Great to have you.
Hi, Kirby, which I hope you don't mind. I'm going to call you Kirby as we
Please
go
do.
on.
Please
It's
do.
great to be here.
Yeah. Well, we're thrilled. So give us just a quick rundown on GP and what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me tell you a little bit about who we are and what EOR is. GP is part of the HR tech industry. So specifically, we pioneered the subcategory of HR tech that is known as employer of record, which is what I mean when I say EOR. And our CEO, Nicole Sahin, founded this company in category back in 2012. And basically what EOR makes possible is for companies to hire anyone, anywhere in the world in minutes without them needing to set up their own entity in order to do so. And as you can imagine, since the pandemic, remote work and the new world of work has changed. So EOR has become a pretty hot sector within HR tech. And back in May, we actually announced unveiled a new subcategory called Global Growth Technology. So all of that to say, if you think about the industry as a whole, HR tech is the very broad industry. Global growth technology is a subcategory, and EOR is one piece in that subcategory.
Very nice. Yeah, I can see that being really hot right now with all the remote work. So great. Well, thank you. So we brought you on today because you've recently done a lot of revamping in your partner program. So give us just kind of that evolution. Where were you, even a year ago, and where have you come today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I come from the traditional IT channel where you have partner organizations, partner programs, tools, and resources that are really established with large manufacturers and distribution.
Yeah.
And when I came into GP, our partner program was fairly new in comparison when we look at the traditional channel. And so really coming into GP about a year and a half ago, there was a huge focus on highlighting process and planning. Really taking the time to get to know our partner community. Who do we have in our partner ecosystem? Because not only was our partner program as a whole new, but also the concept of partner programs and partnering was also very new to a lot of those in our global partner ecosystem.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Were you not finished?
No, no. I was just going to say when we looked at about a year ago or a year and a half ago, our partner ecosystem was right about at that tipping point where we were realizing that we needed to implement more programs that could scale, just to make it easier or enable our partners to work with us and have it be easier to partner with us.
Yeah, that makes sense. So many of our customers at Impartner, we're seeing that, they come to us or even existing customers that are saying, hey, we need to scale. So I love that. So how did you go about with your, executive team and all that, getting the buy-in?
Yeah, great question. As we started to look at tools, and really what we're going to dive into today is how we looked at our partner portal and our PRM system,
Yeah.
And how we work with you at Impartner in order to do that. And when we looked at this, we had a system in place. It had been launched. I don't necessarily know if our partner ecosystem was ready for it or if we had the internal resources at the time to support it. So as our program was growing, as our partners were maturing, and as we were adding more resources to the team, we really had to start looking at, again, what are those tools that can scale, and build plans that looked, beyond 1 or 2 quarters. I think that's sort of a something we get stuck in sometimes. We're like, let's plan for this quarter. What can I accomplish in this quarter? What can I set up in pipeline or referrals or, deals for next quarter? But we really had to look at this larger picture of building with the end in mind. Where do we want to bring our partners? What sort of successes do we want to have? And so we really had to start thinking about it that way to lead us to that point of bringing it to our executive team to get buy-in, to get investment, to really pick this thing back up and relaunch it from where it was.
That's great. I really love that. I can't tell you how many of our customers, and probably lots of tech customers, come in and go, hey, if we just buy a PRM, we're going to get a channel. And so and I think that's part of what you're saying, right? Happened at the beginning. So I love this. I love the fact that you are saying, let's start with the end in mind. Now, this isn't necessarily a new concept, but give me kind of, where did this come from in GP?
Yeah, great question. I think, when I look across my partner experience, is one of the things that we tend to sometimes think as partner people when we're building things for partners is, if we just build it, they'll show up. They'll be here, they'll come in, they'll, like you said, here's the tool, we launch the tool, and they're going to come in and we'll make it beautiful and we'll put great resources and collateral and things to bring them in. But what we don't always think about in the very beginning is what does success actually look like when you launch a new tool? So as we begin that planning and building and saying, here are all the cool things we want to do, the first question that we were asked after we made it look really pretty and shared our concepts was, how do you know if this is going to be successful? And the answer couldn't be, oh, well, when all of our partners log in, because that also is not a true measure of success. So we really had to drill down and say, okay, here's what our partner ecosystem looks like today. Here's where we're getting engagement across our different partner tiers. And then looking at that data, what do we need to extract? Or what can we extract and make some assumptions to say, here's where we're going to see success, or what success looks like, meaning, we have this many partners aware that we're going to be launching a new partner portal. We have this many partners logging in within 90 days into our partner portal. And then we have this type of engagement happening ongoing with those partners that are logging in on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, I love that. I really do. A lot of behavior based in there. Did you set specific KPIs and measurements?
Yes, we absolutely did. And it started a lot of times, I think, when you're launching that new thing, like if we look at a portal launch, the first thing you'll think about is, okay, we're going to set the KPI that people are logging in. And like I said, a lot of it is we want our partners to log in. But we had to take that step back and say, all right, we're relaunching. And we took a great amount of, time to really identify, this really started as a reskin and it became a full relaunch. But in our plan of reskinning and relaunching and rebuilding our partner portal, our first KPI metric that we sent is we're looking for this percentage of partners to just show up and learn about the new tool, not even log in yet. We started, we're a global team. We have global partners, and we had to make sure that we were reaching our partners across multiple time zones, getting them registered for webinars to come and join, and then how many actually came to join. That was really our first KPI to say, all right, are they listening? Are they out there? Are they listening? Do they care? Do they want to come and see? And then some of the other KPIs that we set up originally and we still track today are, how many partner accounts did we start with? How many partner accounts are we adding? And of those accounts, how many are logging in on a quarterly basis? And then within those accounts, how many contacts do we have? And are we growing those contacts? If so, by how much? And then how many of them are logging in on a quarterly basis as well?
I really like that idea of measuring contacts in existing accounts. Are we growing within the accounts we have? I love that concept. So Here, there were a couple of reasons I really wanted to have you come talk about this, and we just hit number one, was starting with the end in mind. I mean, I would say so many people don't do that. So that's takeaway number one. The second thing that I really love, that I think even those of us that set goals, I mean, how many of us decide we're going to go to the gym every year in January, and then 2
Once
weeks
a
later
year.
yeah, 2 weeks later we're already back in the donut box, right? So what I love, though, is you guys took a step back and said, now let's look at how we're performing, right? So give me a little insight into that. What were some of your key takeaways and learnings?
Well, I think the first thing I said is that if you set it, having the realistic versus unrealistic expectations, that is a huge learning.
Yeah.
You cannot just build it and expect people to show up. It is an ongoing communication. It's a one-to-many communication. It's a one-to-one communication, right down to the smallest things of, you have a partner that is engaged in the portal, but they might not be taking the certain steps or doing the activities that is the desired outcome. It's having that one-to-one approach to say, why? What is there a blocker here? Is there a barrier? So asking partners feedback, as well as asking our internal teams that support our partners for feedback, and just making sure that the expectation that we have of the portal is always in check. It's not our expectation of behavior. It has to be what the realistic expectation is of our partners, because they're the ones that are going to be using it. And of course, that means, the takeaway there is that we always have to be adjusting as we're learning. So when we launched, I'll give a great example. When we launched, we use a great tool called Journeys, where we can take them through, here's what you need to know about our partnership. Here's how you can navigate the portal. And we just gave that to everyone and said, go ahead and take it. And that wasn't necessarily the right approach, because it was asking for a level of engagement that they weren't there yet, or a level of adoption before we had that engagement. And so that's been a real, key takeaway. We're about 9 months since launch, and every behavior that our partner has in the portal, we're taking that and we're, always adjusting and optimizing to pull more partners along based on that behavior.
Yeah, so important. It's another key thing I see a lot of companies make that mistake, is they stand it up and then they go, hey, we've set it up. Why aren't people coming? But you think about Netflix. You're not going to log into Netflix if it shows you the same show every time, right? You want change, you want uniqueness. So I love that. So have you, as you've gotten some of these learnings, and you said you've had to be, very realistic, have you changed some of your KPIs and adjusted,
I would say not necessarily change the KPIs, because I think we're still in that, we're past obviously the first 90 days. We're coming up on the 9 months. We still want to see what, I'd say, who are our core users, who are our people that log in and then leave. So I'd say we've stayed pretty solid on the KPIs that we started with, because right now we're looking at what is awareness, what is engagement, and what does adoption look like. If I had to have some foresight, as we look into the more adoption phase, where we talk about what are they doing in their everyday, not every day, because we don't ask them to go every day, but when they log in, what are they doing? Are we delivering what they're looking for? I think we'll probably add in more adoption KPIs for those people who are in there more regularly and are consuming, versus just taking the action that we're asking them to take.
Got it. Yeah. And that's behavior based, as far as like taking trainings or completing journeys or consuming assets. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about?
Yeah,
Adoption?
yeah, absolutely. And I want to, there's one learning I want to make sure I don't gloss over, because I think we talk about, where we've built this, we've launched it to partners, what do KPIs look like, the awareness, the adoption, engagement, all that's wonderful. But there is so much, I think there is a huge learning from our team in just the setup of a system. Because while it's great that you can, get a piece of software, you can turn it on, you can connect it to your Salesforce. I think there's a lot of things that go into the actual launch between that. Hey, we want to launch because this is table stakes in our partner program. And hey, here's how partners are using it. And our team spent a solid, 5 to 7 months really drilling into all of our data, all of the things that we needed or we saw as an ideal partner portal. And there is a tremendous amount of internal collaboration across our web team, across project management, across our revenue teams, our partner marketing teams. And that collaboration allowed us internally not only to get buy-in from others in the organization, but it actually allowed with everyone working towards the same goal with that end in mind that we were talking about. It allowed us to have sort of this evangelism for half a year on what we were building, and have emphasis and importance, which ultimately gave us the executive support when we launched, and made it an actual table stake in our partner program. So it's great if you have one person that can turn on a PRM system and say, hey, we're going to manage all of our partners. But I think the secret in the sauce is having a very collaborative team that all cares about it and knows what that goal is, for launch and for ongoing adoption.
Yeah, so true. Yeah, I wrote an article on LinkedIn about that. I kind of always compare it to a house that, you can buy the tools, but if you buy a hammer and a saw and you have no blueprints, you kind of don't know what you're building. So
Right.
Yeah, fantastic. And I love one thing I'll point out that I really love that you guys did. Not only did you had requirements, you said, here's what we need in the portal, but you really thought about what's the partner experience, right? What do they need? What do they want? How are our partners going to engage with us? So it wasn't just, hey, we need, a referral system. Hey, we need
Right.
this, and this. So yeah, you had that, but you also really thought about that partner experience and partner journey. So props to you on that. I love that.
Thanks.
So kind of the golden question here, the $1 million question is, now, what are you seeing from partners? Are they responding now that you've made some of these tweaks and you're hearing from them? Are you seeing some results?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is really the fun part, because it's that when you get into the data of what are my partners doing or what are they not doing, because I think there's actually a lot of learning in what are they not doing when I ask them, or I shouldn't say it, when I invite them to be part of something, to go on a journey, to, we run different things like login incentives, and we do one-to-many lunch and learns, and take them on not just a journey in the portal, but you're a new partner. Let's meet you. Let's talk about what our capabilities are. Let's give you some rewards and swag for participating in an activity with us, and let's keep you on the line. I think the learnings from when you ask a partner to do those things and they're not engaging, you have to put a plan in place for that. So that could be, am I not reaching them with the right medium? Do we need to, is this an active partner? Maybe this isn't even an active partner anymore, which is a huge learning. Or maybe I don't have the right people. That was actually a huge learning when we launched, is we got, like we were saying in the beginning, expanding the contacts within an account. We learned so much from finding out, oh, hey, I got this notice, but I actually think this is the person that needs to be in. Or can you add this team to the portal for us? Because they're going to be the ones that are going to be using it most. But then as we have grown over these, or moved forward over these last 9 months, we stopped doing the peanut butter spread of, okay, I have all these accounts, I have all these contacts, I'm just going to give them the same experience. We actually started to drill down and say, all right, I have this group of partners that's logging in regularly. Let me build activities for them, because they're showing up, they're here, they want more, and they're hungry, and they're asking for more. So we're building a path and work streams for them. And then we have those that log in and then maybe don't come back. We invite them to something and maybe they RSVP, but they don't show up. that has to be a separate workflow for them. How do we keep enticing them? What's going to be, it's kind of like the traditional A/B marketing, A/B testing marketing. It's like, what's going to be the thing that gets them to come in? And so when we tweak certain things, we find, okay, that's what it is that brought them in. And I covered it nauseum, like the people who just aren't responding, what do we do with them? And that's more of an internal exercise. And we're still probably going to be learning a lot more about that group as we go on and we pick up more along the way. So that's the fun part for me, honestly, is like, oh, okay, you're engaging. Let me spoon feed you something else. Because the most satisfying thing is when a partner comes to you and they're like, I love that. And can I have more? And that's just the best feeling.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, are you using the rewards more for partners that are engaging, those that aren't, or it's kind of both?
It's kind of both. There's a strategy in place to hit both. So if I dare say, GP has amazing swag for partners. I think that goes a long way. I know
you gave me some.
You have some. I have a lot around me, but we have really good swag. So we use swag, when we ask them to, hey, why don't you check out this video? Why don't you learn about how to submit a referral? Or why don't you see how you can co-brand a piece of collateral? And you can get a little gift for it. And that actually has been, a wise woman once told me, people will do crazy things for a water bottle or, a sweatshirt or a t-shirt.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
And it's fun and it's nice. And it also, for all of my partner people that are listening, like swag goes a long way when it's sitting on someone's desk or they're wearing it or they give it to their spouse to wear or they're something, they have pens for their kids. So we use rewards all throughout the portal. And then we do some more, creative, inventive things when we want them to do something a little bit extra.
Yeah. As you probably are, everybody's worried about budgets these days. And when we talk about rewards, I think everybody thinks about these spiffs and rebates that you got to put, $1 million into. But the swag, I mean, it's much lower cost. You can do competitions, a drawing for a gift card. So it's a one-time spend. So I love that. I love the creativity. The other piece I really love that you just said is your rewarding behavior, right? We want the results, but if we only reward results, that's not what drives them. So I really love that you're rewarding behavior to get to the results. Again, back to the end in mind, right? How do we get there?
Right. And I think one thing that's really important when you are launching a tool like a partner portal, which, as we said, are you even you hear people say, like, do you even have a partner program if you don't have a portal? Because we all have a portal. Every partner I've ever worked with has a portal. But I think one thing that is really important is that when you have the tool, it can never fully replace human contact.
True.
And one thing that our team really tried to do is make sure that there is always a human behind everything. So you're going to see, our partners are going to see somebody's name on an email to them. We've got a whole operations team across the globe that when someone has a question about how to log in or they can't, find their password, we've got a whole team that is automatically there to support them. And those are the operational pieces, but even we've built in these human touches along the way. Like, we want you to log in, we want you to go take this journey, but then we want to invite you to spend time on a webinar with us where we can chat and smile and have fun and joke around, where it's not so formal, while you're also consuming content that we need you to know as a partner. So I think that's really important, is no portal is going to ever replace all human contact.
No.
You have to use it as a tool to scale your communication, your touch points, your learning, but then always have those things that say, oh, I know who Penny is, or I know who this partner manager is, because we talk to them, and that makes them want to go in the portal even more because they have a human connected to it.
No, that's fantastic. Great advice. So I have a lot of takeaways, so thank you. Kind of the fun question though, so you've come this far. What's next? What's on the horizon for the program?
So many things. We're really continuing to invest in the portal as a tool and to be a delivery system for a lot of the programs we create. So I would say, as the header, one of the things that came out of this very large project where we had executive support and we had collaboration is really identifying that there was a need for a resource to own the success of it. From the things that we've built so far, including the portal, we've actually developed a global partner marketing program office. And I'm happy to say that was one of the things, I've moved into the program office really owning the portal. So it wasn't something that launched. And now we don't have a dedicated resource. Now it's truly part of our program with dedicated resources on the marketing side, on the operations side, on the digital side. And that's really exciting. So we're growing and expanding it, which will likely mean that we're going to be building more tools for our partners in it and being able to scale more of the things that we're doing internally, externally to our partners.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I assume you're getting a lot of executive buy-in because of the results you're getting, right? It's where you're getting that investment.
And it's a huge part of our overall program. And so we have to that point, really keep showing that we're driving that engagement and adoption with our partners. And there's ROI in the investment. So that's really exciting.
Very good. Well, thank you so much. Let's see. I haven't been reading the comments, so let me see if there's any good ones. I mean, I see some about socks and things.
There's a lot of comments about socks, which I feel like I got to put socks in my swag store now.
Yes. Let's see. Who thought socks were? Yeah. Oh my goodness. You do need socks. That's the whole conversation. I even wear my competitors' socks. That's a good one.
I do have to say, my first swag box when I started at GP, I got a pair of socks in the box. Oh, that rhymes. That's fun.
Let's see. Trevor
There's
just
a couple of questions. So what strategies can programs implement to optimize the alignment of global teams' goals with those of global partners? I would say high level on that one is communication and collaboration across your program. Global teams and global partners across in different geographical locations and teams in different geographical locations all operate differently. And all partners have a different level of understanding of what partnering is within that region and what it means for their business. So I'd say the number one strategy is always communication and collaboration with your internal teams on what partners are asking for, or more saying, where are you having trouble getting in with your partners? Where are you finding a roadblock? And then bringing those back to the team to say, is there a solve for this across what we're doing in other regions that we can apply to this region?
Yeah, very good. So Michael's asking, what was the first thing you started with when you set up a partner program? And maybe you can answer that from the beginning, but then maybe as your revamp, what did you find kind of the first step there?
Yeah, I'll start from when we were looking at the building the portal for our program. The first thing, to be honest with you, Michael, that we looked at was we just need to rebrand this thing because it's old and no one's in it today. So maybe we can move a couple things around and we can rebrand it and then we can relaunch it. And this project will be done in 2 to 3 months. And I think as soon as, to go back what we started with, as soon as we started looking at what are the partners doing today and what do we currently know about our partners, we realized immediately this was more than a reskin. This was a full relaunch to align with what our future goals for our overall partner program were. And back to that, we had to build with the end in mind, not build necessarily exactly for where we are today, but where do we want to bring our partners to in the future, and what do we want the evolution of our program to be?
No, that's great. And Michael, I could spend another 45 minutes to 4 hours just on that question. So I'd love to connect more. We've got some great ideas. I say all the time, I don't care what tech it is. All tech does is automate best practices. And I got that from my boss, Mark Rogers. So I'll give him a shout out for that. But we've mapped out a partner journey and say all we do is automate this.
Yeah.
You have to have those best practices and understand what your partners are doing and what they want, et cetera. So great comment. Do you tailor your onboarding journeys to partners based on their partner type, tier, roles? How are you doing that today with journeys? I know you kind of have just started in the journeys. So
yeah, that's a great question, Anthony. I will say when we started, we did not. We did here's our onboarding journey. Here's who GP is. Here's what we want you to know. And we blasted it out there. And the response was not what we hoped.
That's your peanut butter approach.
Yeah, that was the peanut butter
yeah,
approach.
I love it.
So what we've drilled down to is we're deploying journeys right now based on initial awareness and engagement. So taking them on a very on short journeys based on what activity they're doing in the portal. So if they've logged in, we're going to give them this. If they're showing up to live lunch and learns, we're going to give them this. But the future state as we look forward into building out more and more is to really have those journeys by partner type, tiers, and roles. So they're more focused and specific. So we have a lot of partners in different categories.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept. I really want to dive into that more, but we're very over. But I really like the idea of saying we're going to put you in a journey based on how much engagement you've had with us thus far. I love that. So we could, next time I'm in Boston, we're going to grab another coffee and dive into that more. So
yeah, I have to say the highlight of my month last month was when we were on an open lunch and learn with our partners, and that were invited from activities that they'd done in the portal. And I had a partner ask, how often are you loading journeys? Like I logged in and I don't have a new one. And I was like, oh, let me get you one right away. Just because she likes the activity of it. Like she had set a reminder on her computer, like once a month to log in to see if there was a new journey or something that she could extract. And that's like, I mean, I want every partner to be like that. But it's when you see them and when you see partners engaging and you give them a little bit more, again, it's just really the best feeling in the world. Besides having my daughter, of course, I'll say that.
Oh, good save on that. Good save. Vivian, I love your question for Penny. So what are some of your key skills to be in global partner marketing?
What are the key skills to manage global partner
besides having to put up with Kirby? That's a skill right there.
That's a skill. Like we need another MasterClass for that one.
Yeah.
I would say some of the key skills are you have to be able to think big. Because it's very easy if you start in EMEA or you start in North America or you start in APAC where you just are you have a singular focus on here's what I've done for my partners, and it must be able to work globally. I think you have to think big, think about what might or might not work in other countries and other regions. And part of that big thinking is you have to really get comfortable working internally across different teams, and even more comfortable with getting feedback that you might not want to hear, which is that's not going to work here. And get really curious about that and dig into it. Why won't it work? What about it? Is there a component? So if I had to sum it up, Vivian, I'd say the key skill is to be adaptable while always coming up with those new ideas and just being open to the fact that not everything might work, or that your idea might need to be tweaked in order for it to work in region.
No, that's great advice. I think that's the key you said too, is you have to be willing to take that negative advice. Not negative, that's probably the wrong word, but that criticism of, hey, you don't understand our region. This is what's going to work.
Yeah.
Patricia, great question. Did you build a partner experience map before you started doing the PRM stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. We did. I won't say it was super detailed, and we didn't overthink it. But this was actually back to that conversation on making your internal teams collaborating. That was actually an ask of our web team when we were starting to build out our PRM system, because they were a huge part of it. Is they wanted to understand, what do you want the journey of your, or the experience, what do you want the experience to look like for partners? How do you want them to navigate through the site? What actions do you expect them to take? So we had to build out that roadmap of, when they log in, here's what we'd like them to do, here's what we want them to see first, and then here's some secondary actions. So we did, but I'd say, in thinking about that, don't overcomplicate it. Sometimes we like to say they're going to do this, and then they're going to go here, and then they're going to do that, and they're not going to do any of that. Just be very simple, and make it easy for the partner to engage and have a good experience.
Yeah, no, that's great. Well, and you didn't explicitly say it, but another thing I saw, and I encourage people all the time, we see people that spend 2 years working on stuff and never launching. And I'm like, guys, you've got to define an MVP, right? What are the key activities we need? And then, I mean, you just talked about, we're going to keep growing, we're going to keep investing.
Yeah.
So I really encourage that. Break it up into phases. What are your key things you need today? So
yeah, that's, if I could, I know we're so over now, and if this is our last question, this can be my last point, but I think to that point where you spend so long planning and moving things around, one thing that was really important for us, and I think anything of this level, especially when you're looking to get executive support, you're looking to get the investment secured ongoing, is we had to deliver on time. So we put a date on the map and said, we are going to be ready to launch on this date. We are going to launch to partners on this date. And we held to it. And we held to it because we had that team that was super focused. But that super focused team helped us get that executive buy-in and support to remove roadblocks, to move things around, to get resources. Because if you don't deliver on time when you have made this an initiative with your executive team, you just devalued your entire project. If it's something that you can keep pushing and pushing and pushing and not make decisions on, it shows that it's not as important as you're saying it is. So delivery on time was a huge factor in our success.
Gosh, that makes so much sense. I mean, that executive buy-in can make or break a whole program, actually. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's great comments. I'm glad we recorded this. I hope everybody took a ton of notes, because this was extremely helpful. So thank you so much for your time. Here is how you can contact us. These QR codes go right to our LinkedIn. Connect with me, connect with Penny. This is our passion. Again, a Mark Rogers phrase, but I love it. This is like a religion to me. Obviously, it is to Penny. We are sorry for going over. I did warn our team, get Penny and myself in a room, and you're not going to stick to the schedule. So, but anyway, thank you so much, Penny. It was great to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Mike. I just called you Mike. That's a friend. Thanks so much, Kirby, for the opportunity. I loved it. And I hope we can do it again soon.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, everyone.